welcome to this session. It is session 1 of Unit 3. The unit deals with the various methods you can use to present chemistry lessons. This very session is on one of the methods, that is demonstration methods. Let's proceed to look at our object. By the end of this session, you should be able to state the requirement for a good chemistry demonstration lesson, state the key things a chemistry teacher should keep in mind when planning a chemistry demonstration lesson, state the effect of a good chemistry demonstration lesson on the students, state the common errors the chemistry teacher may commit while delivering a demonstration lesson, and finally, state the merits and demerits of demonstration method of teaching. Let's get going. Demonstration method, to demonstrate something. Demonstration method combines instructional strategy of information imparting and showing how. So here the teacher performs experiments before the class and simultaneously explains what he is doing. The students, on the other hand, would have to observe carefully in order to describe each step of the experiment, and most importantly, draw inference. The inferences are drawn to be discussed in the classroom. This demonstration method is a powerful tool under certain conditions, and we'll be looking at those conditions. But the next that we are going to look at is requirements for a good demonstration. Remember, you cannot just do any demonstration at all. Before you do that, there are certain things that you need to take into account, and these are those things you have to consider. It should be planned and rehearsed by the teacher beforehand. Before you go and then do the demonstration, make sure that you have done it assuming the prevailing condition of your class, to be sure that your instrument would even work accurately when the time reaches, and also to be sure that you can finish within time. So you need to rehearse. The apparatus should be big enough to be seen by the whole class. Demonstration is a method, but you, the teacher, will be the one performing for the whole class. So imagine a large class that everybody has to see what you are doing, yet you select apparatus that are not big enough. Then it will only favor those in front. Those at the back wouldn't see anything. Adequate lighting arrangements must be made on demonstration table. Whatever you are doing should be visible to every student, because what you are doing should be to the advantage of all students. And so make sure that you have adequate lighting. A clear statement about the purpose of demonstration should be made to the students. It must lead to active participation of the students in the process of learning. Students will learn best when they are active in the lesson. And so, though you are the one performing the experiments, you should make sure that you engage the students throughout. It should be interesting so that it captures the attention of the students. You may have a particular concept that you have a number of demonstrations there, but to select which one, make sure that whatever that you are going to select to demonstrate to students is interesting enough to the students. Other than that, you will not achieve your purpose. And then it should be closely linked to the ongoing lesson. If you are teaching preparation of solutions and so you want to do demonstration, don't do a demonstration on something that is not related to preparation of solution. You are teaching preparation of solution and you are demonstrating preparation of gases. There is no link. So make sure that you demonstrate something that will buttress what you have taught, or that's what you are teaching is applicable there. Let's look at conducting demonstration lessons. So you have planned and you are now going to conduct. What are the things that you are going to do in conducting demonstration lessons? You would have to plan and prepare. So, like we said earlier, in the planning and preparation stage, you would have to rehearse the demonstration itself whilst you assume the prevailing conditions of your class. So, if you have a large class, then rehearse it in a way, or rehearse it assuming you have that large class and the very last person has to see what you are doing. You need to prepare a lesson to include the following: the principles to be explained, a list of experiments to be demonstrated, and most importantly, the type of questions to ask. You are to engage the students throughout, but this is a method that, if you are not careful, you will do it without engaging the students. And so, a way to keep them active or to make them active participants is questioning. So, you should select good questions and you pose questions frequently to keep the students throughout, in order not for them to just look at what you are doing. Next to do is now the introduction of the demonstration. And in the introduction, you have to start with proper motivation of the students so that their interest will be kept throughout the demonstration. Next is now the presentation of demonstration. And in the presentation, you have to present a lesson in an interesting manner. You have to think of various useful applications of the principles to be taught. And then, constant questions and answers should form part of every demonstration lesson. Like we said, to keep your students in the lesson throughout, or to make them active participants throughout, you need to use constant questioning. Other than that, some would even just be watching you with eyes but not their minds. But if you are posing questions frequently, then the student would now have the idea that they have to pay close attention to what you're doing, so that when you ask a question, they can be able to answer. So, and also, you have to present with clear voice and should speak slowly with correct pronunciation. Your voice should be audible and it should be clear. It should be heard and it should be clear. Don't rush, and then also pronounce words correctly. Other than that, they would focus on the words you pronounce wrongly and would be making mockery. Maybe not for you to see, but in their heads. So take note of this. Next is performing the experiments. So here, that is the point that you are actually going to do the demonstration. And in performing the experiments, you have to allow students to observe what happens in experiments. And by this, make sure that arrangement is such that everybody would see. It's a bit difficult if you are handling a large class or if you are demonstrating to a large class, but make sure that everyone would benefit. And so you have to pay much attention to those who are not in front. Those who are in front will see everything, but those at the back, it is easy for them to lose focus. So make sure that you pay attention to them as well. Assist students in making generalizations from conclusions only after sufficient evidence and experiences. Now, the next thing is board summary. You have demonstrated, students have made inferences. After the demonstration, you have to do a board summary, a summary of what you did. So a summary of important results and principles should be written on the board. As you write on the board, or you are done writing on the board, you need to do supervision. So you should ensure that students copy the board summary. At the end, that is the major or the important parts that they are taking home in their notes. So you have to ensure that everyone writes the board summary. Now, in the demonstration, there are some errors that are likely to be committed or to happen. Some of these are: the apparatus may not be ready for use, and the teacher may sometimes fail to ask the right type of questions. Moreover, the teacher may sometimes use a difficult language which students may not understand. The teacher may not allow sufficient time for recording data, especially if you have a number of experiments to do and you are running against time, or you don't have much time on your hands. Then you would be tempted not to allow sufficient time for recording of data. And sometimes you may talk too much, such that the talking alone takes away greater parts of the demonstration. And at the end, you may not even finish, or you may have to rush through certain important parts which you need to do that slowly. They are common errors that you are likely to commit. Now, having looked at this, what are some of the advantages of demonstration? It is economical method. Imagine you having limited resources, and so you have to do something for all students to benefit. Here, if the resources are limited, it's just you, the teacher, that you are doing for all of them to see. So it is economical. You don't have to give to all the students. It can be used successfully for all types of students, and it is time saving. Experiments that the whole class would have to take part, it takes so much time. But if it is just the teacher who is demonstrating, then it saves time. So on advantages: if properly done, students will take active interest in the teaching and learning process, especially if you use your questions correctly. It leads students from concrete to abstract situations, and it is suitable method if the apparatus to be handled is costly. The school may not have enough funds to purchase enough of the apparatus, so they would purchase few. But with this method, you'll be able to still teach effectively. And even in cases where experiment is, let's say, dangerous, then you can still do it because it's you, the teacher, who is demonstrating, not the students. And also, you can use this to teach a large class. Okay, having looked at the advantages of demonstration, what are some of the disadvantages? It provides no scope for learning by doing. A student just observe what the teacher is performing. They are only observing and they are not doing. The only uh, participation they are doing is when you question them and they answer. But the real thing they are not doing. Many students cannot comprehend the concepts being clarified, and then it makes no provision for individual differences. As you are demonstrating, whether the learner learns best by reflection, whether he learns best by listening, or you don't pay attention to them. And so here it downplays on the individual difference. We are ending the session here with this last point: fails to develop laboratory skills in the students. The students are not taking part in it. They are only observing. So they are not able to develop that laboratory. Try doing these self-assessment questions and we'll meet in the next session.